It's been exactly 4 days after the finance minister presented a media budget review to Parliament. Indeed, that has been greeted with a lot of reactions from various quarters and sectors of the economy. This evening here on Business Focus, going to continue the conversation that has already begun after Thursday's presentation by the finance minister. Stay with us this evening. I'll update you on the Bank of Ghana's position on the issues with Midland Savings and Loans as well. This evening, there's a lot to talk about in the world of business here on Business Focus. My name is Alfred Okanse. Let's take a wrap-up of some of the stories that made headlines in the world of business. There's a lot more business stories on 3news.com. I would encourage you to check it out because a lot more detailing there. My name is Alfred Okanse. Welcome again to Business Focus. We're live on TV3 Ghana, on Facebook, all across the world. Also on DSTV channel 279 as well. So feel free to join us with your thoughts. Already joined me in studio to kickstart the discussion is Edu Owusu-Sarkodie. He is an economist and also a lecturer at the economics department at University of Ghana, Legon, a regular panel member here on Business Focus. Thank you so much for your time. Good evening to you. Samson Asaki Awingobit, Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, also joining us in studio. Thank you for your time. Good evening to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, the exact question we're asking this evening is the reality of the strength of the city on the basis of what's happening with the importers and exporters. They have a story to tell beyond what the finance minister talked about in Parliament, and you will want to hear it. But before that, I'm sure lots of you have been interested in what's happening at Midland Savings and Loans. The Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addiston, today spoke about that at the Monetary Policy Committee meeting. That's the 83rd meeting of the MPC. Let's take a listen to him on the issues with Midland Savings and Loans.
This is a very important issue. We all regret very much what happened over the weekend. It shouldn't have happened. Violence is certainly not the way to go. But we recognize that we have some issues in the specialized deposit-taking institution sector. The government is looking at the Ghana Deposit Insurance Corporation to provide insurance for small savers, such that when you have difficulties with the institutions there, they can fall on the deposit insurance for cover. We are looking at a reform for that segment of SDIs, looking at ways in which we can strengthen them and help them to operate more efficiently in order to protect depositors.
So that is the governor of the Bank of Ghana there on Midland Savings and Loans. Prior to that moment, lots of disgruntled customers had thronged some of the branches, not too happy about the fact that the company did not open its banking halls for business today. So this is a quick one on this, and then we'll move on to our major issue for today.
I think the governor mentioned insurance. Obviously, the major cause for this is money. I've told you several times that money doesn't like noise.
Absolutely.
So once you mix little noise about money, then it vanishes. But the major issue is that perhaps there were not enough funds to give out to those the customers. So the governor mentioned some form of insurance for
could also be the case of panic withdrawal. So look, I mean, I'm hearing this, and so you have as many people making withdrawal. So you want to slow down the process
after the ladies' incident. Yeah, after that, of course, obviously.
Absolutely.
I mean, if somebody came to your bank to withdraw her own money, and you treated her this way, I'm sure other people who have deposits up to 20,000, 10,000 will say that if you've done this to 270, customer, what will you do to me? So that panic, that noise about it, it's unfortunate for the company, because you sweat to establish a company up to this level, and all of a sudden everything is going down like that. I think the Bank of Ghana is a regulatory agent, authority. They should be able to, like he said, bring us some insurance to insure some of these microfinance institutions.
I see. Great. Now, I'd want to, because this is not one of the major issues. The governor just responded to a question that my colleague Tonam Say asked. So, Mr. Wingobit, let's get it into your business at the ports now. But before that, let's take a look at what the finance minister said is why you want to say something.
Comment on the
that's gonna. I'll grant you 30 seconds.
Quite
please.
clearly, I have called that very night. I was on Humbis TV, and the following day, Saturday, I was on City TV. I have called that the police should not only investigate and arrest the last corporate alone.
Okay.
They should also investigate and also arrest the bank officers in the banquet hall that very day who were sitting down and allowed this policeman to molest this poor woman.
Okay.
Again, I think the Bank of Ghana, the governor of Ghana, Bank of Ghana hasn't said something to convince me, because I was thinking that the governor of Bank of Ghana, having this opportunity, should have said that, oh, if you go to your bank and you're facing these problems, this is a desk somewhere, this is an agency that you can go and report. Assuming there was no video cover that came viral that we all saw, where would the woman have gone to complain if he was not getting his money coming forth? Though the proposal of getting insurance deposit is good, so that in case of liquidation, one can get his money back. But I think that the governor of Bank of Ghana should have assured Ghanaians, if I walk to my bank tomorrow and such a thing,
it's a fair point.
Where do I go?
It's a fair point. Okay, thank you so much. And this is a progressive conversation going to be happening. But then you can also join us as we go into the conversation this evening. But let's take a look at what the finance minister painted as a relative stability. That's the language that he used about describing the city. As you see on your screens right now, comparing it from 2013, 17.5%, 31.3%, 2014, 15.7%, 2015, 9.7% in 2016, and you draw it back down to 2017 and what we currently have now. That is the picture that he painted about the strength of the city. The comparative analysis, according to him, indicates that it's relatively stable. You say that is contrary to what you see at the ports or in your business, Mr. Wingobit?
Why did you monitor me somewhere?
No, I mean I listened to your
following me somewhere else. Okay. Well, to be let me say a very big good evening to all your cherished viewers nationwide, and then a good evening to my good friend here. I'm sure this is the first time I'm meeting you, Mr. Edu. I must say that what you've just explained to your viewers by our finance minister coming to the parliament and then making these references or statistics putting to protect or to defend himself was needless. It's needless in the sense that prior to 2016 election, our cedi depreciation was very worst. And that was how Ghanaians were crying. And Ghanaians actually, including business community, I remember in 2 weeks to general election, they brought the presidential candidate by then, now His Excellency the President, to Gupta to meet us. And they assured us what they will do to control the cedi as against the dollar.
Okay.
And indeed, on that very fateful day, I was in Parliament myself, at the public gallery, and I listened to him using the word relatively. It's an English word, and I'm happy that you have a teacher here. I'm saying this because the business community doesn't want to hear what he said. As we speak,
You don't want to hear what he said?
absolutely. The business
What do you
community,
wanna
what he said in that very day. You go to Busuka and ask, they will tell you a different story about it. You go to Katamanto and ask, they will tell you a different story about it.
About the relativity of the cedi.
Even I was thinking today, the Bank of Ghana meeting the monetary policy review, which is they kept it at 70.5%, they should have telling us how they are going to do to control this black market issue. Because as we speak, the finance minister knows that the interbank rate is about 4.5, 4.6
To a dollar.
to a dollar. But the black market is now determined the monetary policy rate for this country. Because 4.8, 4.9 Ghana cedis. And I know that the interbank rate is 4.5, 4.6. I put my money there, 2-3 hours or 2 days. Then a bank manager will call and said, we cannot get it for you. You have to go to Alaji. And you get to Alaji, Alaji give you the forest. Then you ask the question, you ask yourself, where did Alaji get this forest from? Alaji didn't bring the forest through our corridors. Alaji went to those same banks, which a bank manager can call you and say, go to Alaji at this point and get the forest change. Knowing that the interbank rate is far less as compared to the black market rate.
Right.
So, you want to comment?
No. So essentially, what you're saying is that you're forgetting the figures, you forget the English, you're relating to what is actually on the ground.
On the ground,
I
what?
see. Good point. Now, Mr. Akode, I want to bring you here because he's painting a contrary picture, and the position you have held is that the figures will look good, but then the language on the ground may be different. Would you side with these concerns that Mr. Wingobet is facing, from the importers and exporters? Indeed, a lot of other businessmen actually do also exhume such positions.
Well, it's interesting to listen to the man from the ground. We are in the offices.
Absolutely.
But what our friend here is saying is true. It's something we have been seeing. But it is not peculiar to this administration. I think it's something that has been in existence, from one administration to the other. So it is a problem that we should all find, lasting solution to deal with. As for the black market, it has always been with us, and if care is not taken, it will continue to be with us. But I'm not in favor of the black market because I think their transactions must be recorded, and therefore we must formalize. We have been talking about the informal sector, and the black market is a typical example of the informal sector. If we do not monitor them, if we are not aware of how much cedis go to them, how much dollar goes to them, how much euro goes to them, how can we even come up with a very good rate? However, I think that the finance minister was trying to, paint a picture so as to defend himself. He's a politician, and I would do the same if I was the one, because this is a trend analysis that he was doing, and we are researchers. We do trend analysis. This is a time series analysis. When you do time series analysis, you are comparing the happenings across time. And of course, he was doing that to defend himself as a finance minister in government.
Which makes sense
Which
to him.
makes sense politically to him.
Politically.
And economically too. It depends on what you want to measure. Trend analysis is always done, anywhere. So our friend's position that he is making, I think I agree with him perfectly. He's saying that. Now, this is a situation that we have seen over the years. We must find a lasting solution to this. I perfectly agree. The cedi for some time now misbehaved. It depreciated. But again, the point still remains that the rate of depreciation that we experienced recently is far better than what we experienced in the 2015s, in the 2016s, and those years.
But what he wants to, I get the understanding from Zawingobe's position that, look, it's far better comparatively, but relatively, or in reality, it may not actually be the case.
No.
So
Mr.
let me have you rather speak that particular language better.
Mr. Edu,
Yes, sir.
if the finance minister were to be a lecturer that is facing his students and giving them a statistical report antecedents, I have no problem. The finance minister was there to make an economic policy statement. And
Which he did.
Of course. And the people of Ghana, because of that poor performance during the previous regime, we gave them the mandate. And we expect them to come and tell us, look, I have arrested the city. I mean, don't let us get there. The whole issue is that the finance minister could not tell us how the Bank of Ghana has put plans and programs in place to control our city depreciation. Quite apart from that, the government failed to tell us how the government, through Ministry of Finance and Agriculture and other sectors like Export Promotion Authority, developing a specific product that we will, in the next 2-3 years, we will export more of that product, bring in more forex to cushion our city depreciation. The finance minister said that there were external depressions. That's not the word used.
Yeah.
The finance minister in opposition knew very well that these external companies, depressions, were here. And so typically, you can't talk with business community. The businessman I get the TV3, I get what I want, I leave.
Okay, so you talked about Bosokai and their reactions. We were there, and just take a look at Bosokai spare parts dealers and their reactions after the media budget review.
Business was brisk here at Accra's spare parts hub, Abossey-Okai, when the budget was being presented in Parliament. However, some still paid partial attention, monitoring proceedings on radio. But there were some few who dedicated their time to the entire review.
Of a medium-term revenue strategy to act as a vehicle for the implementation of the policy.
The traders were anxious to know if there would be an increase in VAT, as had earlier been speculated. The minister's announcement brought relief to the traders.
There we are. There wasn't any increment in VAT, because if there had been increment, it will also go a long way to affect prices. So, as he rightly said, there will be no increment in VAT. I think it was a step in the right direction.
Ebema port wo kra no enoma ne biade abefum omoto so pe ebeka obia nti ho no mitumi hu se eyema omambo no nyina.
They described the levy on luxury vehicles as a step in the right direction.
That is a choice. If you decide to go in for a vehicle over 3.0 liters and you buy, which I mean the consumption of the fuel is also at the higher side, then you should be able to pay more for as levy.
The traders also lauded government for the $2 billion deal with Chinese engineering firm Sinohydro Group Limited to fund.
Well, so those are some reactions, some commendations, and then some concerns as well raised by these spare parts. Clearly complements the position that Mr. Ngobet was saying earlier on. But
I agree with both persons that we are talking about. The finance minister didn't say that there was no depreciation. He was only saying that the rate of depreciation is quite low compared to the previous one, which is very true. But my friend's concern is also very true. But whichever rate of depreciation that we're experiencing now, deal with it.
Okay,
you get a point. So the 4.9%, we have to deal with it. And I agree, because when the cedi depreciates, now the exchange rate is a major contributing factor to inflation. We have something we call imported inflation. When your exchange rate is high, the person spends more to import the same items, and therefore when the items come to Ghana, they'll increase the price. Do you know that the exchange rate can also affect the public debt, because part of our public debt is in dollars.
Exactly.
So when you say maybe you owe $100, if the exchange rate is 4, it's 400 cedis. If it depreciates to 5, the same $100 is giving you 500 cedis.
True.
So when the cedi depreciates, it affects government, it affects businesses, it affects everybody. Consumers are affected, because when you go to the market, we pay a higher price for the same items. The lasting solution, last time we discussed it, the short-term solution is to make sure that there are number of policies that can be put in place. The retention law, I don't know why we cannot compel the the telecommunication industries, companies to retain a certain percentage of their earnings in the country. Why do we allow them to repatriate everything?
I think the Bank of Ghana indicated they were going to get
yes,
into an
the
arrangement
retention law must be enforced so that they can retain
for their returns
to retain
from the
some of
IPO.
this. But going forward, the long-term solution to arrest the cedi is to export more, as he said. Once you always import more than you export, your cedi will fall. And that is a long-term solution that we must.
You see, so the fundamentals haven't changed. We are largely import-driven economy. So long as we are largely import-driven, whatever happens is just. So look at the GDP slide right now, and just take a look at what the finance minister said. I'm going to come to you, Mr. Ngobe, but that's what it looks like with the economy, the GDP growth rate, as you see there, as of December 2016, comparatively to what we have now. As the finance minister talked about there, it's all boils down to what we've been talking about now. Clearly, Mr. Ngobe, you were making the point early on.
Yes,
it's still the same. Look, let's not go round and round and round.
Alfred, I have learned a very good thing today in this studio. I've seen my teacher. The point here is that importers will not be exonerated. That it is not only importers who are causing the cedi depreciation in this country. That's what the lecture says. He says that public debt servicing is part, because if you have your loans in foreign currency or in repayment, they also should mean government also contribute to the cedi depreciation, not only imported, as politicians normally point their fingers at. Again, he made us to understand, we have been talking about the GMPC law, and that's what you are talking about. Retention. You have these foreign companies, telecommunication companies, even commercial bank, even on City FM, City TV Day last Saturday, I said it, that when this governor of Bank of Ghana took place, he has collapsed so many banks by now.
You say he has collapsed so many banks. What do you mean?
Yes, the governor has collapsed banks. Hold on. I will explain.
Listen, I'm not. Wait, listen to me. I'm not having you make statements to withdraw. If you are making statements that are not factual, I will not allow you to go ahead with it. Don't explain, because it's not factual. Just make the point.
There were Bank of Ghana regulations that made some of the banks to one way or another close down or dissolve, take over by other institutions. The UT Bank, what I said, if you had allowed me, you would have understood what I'm saying.
No, you make your point.
Our banks, the indigenous banks, if care is not taken, before the end of the year or next year, all the indigenous banks will go away and give pathway to foreign banks. Now, these foreign banks, when they make profits in our country, what do they supposed to do? The retention is not there, they will repatriate. Now, all these companies also contribute to our cedi depreciation. This is what I was just trying to explain. That if our indigenous banks are working and are doing good, if you pass a law that we have to protect, we must give them some quota.
Yeah.
We have to give some priority to a Ghanaian-owned banks, because if they make more profit, it stays here. It cushions our city. Don't take the forest elsewhere. But if you use a Bank of Ghana regulation, say that you must cost $400 million, which they are not getting.
It's a conversation they are having.
No, but it's a law. It's our law. It's a police law. Parliament can come into this. It's our law.
So, in fact, the governor reiterated the deadline for that particular recapitalization also. So during the MPC meeting today. But let's look at inflation as well, because you mentioned inflation and everything else still bothers down on that. What the finance minister painted with respect to inflation. Headline inflation now stands at 10.0. Up by 0.2% in the previous month of 9.8. As you see there, a clear one, he says, that reflects some amount of work that has been done in improving the macroeconomics.
Yes, I mean, obviously when the finance minister is talking, they will make reference to the year they took over. So they always make reference to the year ending 2016, which was around 15.4%. We haven't brought it down to single digit now because of the increment in crude oil prices. the inflation has gone up. But inflation has always been caused by a number of factors. We have talked about the food inflation, agricultural products, if the food, the plantain, the cocoa, if their prices go up, the tomatoes, it will affect inflation. The non-food side, we talk about the petroleum prices, we talk about utility prices. Of course, the administration has brought down tariffs, but we can also talk about the repatriation of the earnings of these multinational companies. We can even mention the debt, servicing our debt. Do you know that we pay 42% of our tax revenue on only the interest? Only the interest. This year, we are going to pay 14.9 billion cedis on only servicing our debt. This year, 14.9 billion Ghana cedis. And now, because some of the loans were contracted in dollars, we are not going to pay them cedis. So government will obviously going to, demand for dollars, and anytime your demand for dollar goes up, your cedi will depreciate.
Of course.
So the public debt has been a major problem. We don't seem to learn our lessons as a country. We borrow so much, went to HEPIC, and after HEPIC, we kept borrowing, and we've gotten ourselves into similar situation. So the inflation has been caused by all these factors, and we need to deal with it.
Fantastic. So I'll narrow it down to your business. What is happening there with relation to everything else that we talked about as we round up?
Inflation
this time.
Figures given by Finance Minister on Thursday. Perfect. Let's come to reality on business community. Does the inflation drop or increase affect the business community?
It does.
Yes. You come to Bank of Ghana prime monetary prime rate interest. I think today they maintain 17%.
Yes.
Ask yourself, you go to the commercial banks, does it reflect?
No, it doesn't.
The interest rate still remains the same. I think they took over at 23 point something, or 22 point something. No, the new government at the prime rate they took over from.
It was around 28%.
No,
about 23 thereabout.
It was 23.5 thereabout. They reduced it down to 22 to 17 as today we speak. But you still got to our international commercial banks. And there's no any.
We're going to have a conversation on
reference
Winslow Sakifio will
or
join us.
Improvement in the interest that business people go to commercial banks to borrow. So if our prime rate, if inflation is coming down, what is the central government telling commercial banks in this country in terms of rate for borrowing?
Yeah,
so if you go to the business community, you tell them where it's not inflation that he chop. He wants to go to the bank and get a loan to do business at a rate of maybe 10%, at a rate of maybe 9%. Elsewhere, it is even 0% to do business. In our country, you can't come and tell me it is not academic purpose. We are talking about practicability, right? That is what we are talking about. The businessman wants to say, okay, inflation has come down, prime rate has come down. I get to a bank where they used to borrow 28% or 27%. Now they say, oh, because it's coming down, government is no more borrowing so much from the market. Therefore, we are looking for it to come and borrow. We even give it at 13%. And you say, oh, another bank is giving 10%. We need proper competition.
But it's good that inflation goes up, because if inflation was 50%,
right,
things will be worse than this.
Absolutely.
So it is good that inflation comes down.
So that we can stabilize the 23.5 that the government, the New Patriotic Party, took over from.
You mean the policy?
What was the interbank? Yeah, what was the interbank commercial bank's interest rate? Since then, I've said that they've done well. In terms of monetary prime rate, they brought it down, but it does not reflect in the commercial bank.
When you ask the commercial banks, they have reasons why it doesn't reflect, and they will tell you about issues with risk, issues with non-performing loans, and every other thing. Winslow can tell you better, and that's why I want you to stay with us. It might make sense to you, but wait, stay with us. We'll be back shortly. After this, Samson Asaki Awingobit is Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, reflecting what the reality is, and then also Edu Owusu Sarkodie. He is an economist and then also a lecturer at the University of Ghana Economics Department. Gentlemen, I want to say thank you. I'll be back shortly after this quick break to stay. welcome back. Now, gone by was Entrepreneur's Corner. It's just basics and tips that you need to know and issues relating to entrepreneurship. Now, if you've been following Business Focus, we celebrate young entrepreneurs and people who are starting something small on their own and not necessarily waiting for any form of employment. And that's why we created or put together the Mover segment. The Mover segment is to give you young people out there who are dreaming and doing and living your dream an opportunity to tell the world what you're doing. Daniel Frimpong Asante is here. He's our mover for today. And he is the CEO of Danigenius Natural Coconut Water. I say this with a smile because the name is long. I'm sure you cut it short very soon. You probably make it DJ Natural Mineral Water or something.
Yes, it will be changed to Danigenius.
Danigenius.
Yes.
Fantastic. It's good to have you. You look good.
Thank you.
Wow. So, Danigenius Natural Coconut Water. Tell me, what is all about?
Okay, Danigenius is about natural coconut water. And this time around, we've modified how the coconut is being done in the society. We've brought new change into the system whereby we put the coconut in a disposable cup, we add tissue,
I see.
We add straw, and we put everything in one cup.
I see. So this is what viewers, just to have an idea of how it looks like. So what we're normally used to is that you go in to buy coconut with the coconut in there, and then you have someone just use some cutlass and cut it for you. Sometimes the cutlass is not even too clean, and then they pour it in some rubber for you, or when you're even lucky, they'll just give it to you to just drink it like that. A few of them add straw to it. So what you've done is to add this to it. How did it all start? Tell me, how did you conceive this particular idea of putting this together?
Okay, let me start. Way back in school, Laboni Senior High, and on one particular day, Saturday, I was going to learn at prep, and I just had the vision that there are coconuts.
You had a vision?
Exactly.
Fantastic.
I had a vision that there are a lot of coconuts around, that if I'm able to work out and bring new change into the system, it's going to help myself and the society as well. So I thought of it very well, that if I'm able to implement and come and invest into this business, it's going to help me. So after completing school, I came and I did whatever I can do. And I brought the business.
Do you have coconut trees in Laboni Senior High School?
No.
I mean, but you conceived that idea of just starting something. And why coconut business, really? Why coconut? Apart from every other thing that you thought about.
Okay, I think that because I had the idea, the vision, because there was a lot of, let me say, aside the vision, there was a lot of ideas that was coming. But I just kept quiet and I said, no, let me start with the coconut and see how far I can go.
How has it been for you, and how long have you been doing this?
Okay, I've been doing this for 1 year.
For a year?
Yeah, for a year.
I see. And how has it been for you? Profitable?
Yes, it's encouraging, because when you move around, when my workers goes to sell.
You have workers?
Yes.
How many workers do you have?
3.
3 people work for you?
Exactly.
Wow. And then how do you come about the coconut itself? Where do you buy it at the wholesale price, and how much is it? What exactly it goes into this?
I goes to buy the coconut from, there are a lot of people that bring the coconut from the village, but I don't go to the village myself. I have people, I have customers that bring them from the village, and I meet them, I buy from them, then I bring it, I change it into this stand, and after that, the price of it is 2 cedi 50 pesos, irrespective of the things we add to it.
No, because when you even buy it naturally, without this container, the clean, it's still 2 cedi 50 pesos. So there's no price change, even though you have enhanced it in terms of the presentation and the neatness of it, the quality and everything. Why? Why you don't like money?
No, I like money because I did business in school.
I see.
So I like money a lot, I understand. But I just want to serve the society and Ghana as a whole, because I'm a Ghanaian and I know how it feels when people goes to buy coconut and they comes out with the coconut has dirtied my dress, it has poured on me and stuff. So I just said, then let me try and modify it and bring.
I mean, you're a young man and a senior high school graduate,
Exactly.
right? And from what I get, you're just doing this to be able to make some money and further your education.
Exactly.
Wow. So how does it feel like? So you carry it through town yourself, or you
No.
have a stand where you...
Okay.
I mean, young people, these don't want to... How does it feel like doing this?
I have a stand. We have a stand called icing pot. So the icing pot is, we put the coconut in it and it freezes the coconut. So when the people, my workers goes around selling, they push it very nicely. They push it and the coconut is being freezed in it. So if someone is buying, he has to just bring it out, then peel off the mouth of it and pour it in a cup and serve the person.
I see. What are some of the challenges that you face in this business?
Okay, some of the challenges are, due to the, let me say, the disposable things I add to, I think the profit margin is not high.
Right.
Yes, but I think gradually things will change and the price might increase.
I see. But do you have any means of extracting the coconut from the...
Yes. What we do is, after dividing it into three, then we have a nice spoon that we use to remove the food. Exactly. We used to remove the food from it, then we put it in a cup with the water as well.
So where do you see Danny Genius in the next, say, 5 years with this business you've started?
International.
You want to go international?
Exactly.
With coconut, natural coconut
Natural
water.
coconut.
What kind of help do you need? If somebody is watching and the person is inspired by you, that a young man who's just finished senior high school, you're doing this to get money to go back to school, how do they help you?
Okay. I just want to tell the public that I need support in terms of investing and bringing more of the icing pot into the system, because the icing pot costs a lot, and if I'm able to get a lot into the system and at the vital places, it's going to really help me to modify it and bring more stand, because I have more ideas and my senior brother also is supporting me with ideas and stuff. So if there is money, I think that will be amazing.
Do you have a Facebook page that people can visit? Any social media account?
Yes. The Facebook page is Danny Genius at facebook.com.
Okay, so Danny Genius natural coconut water. Yes. You should just Danny and then Genius, and then we get fantastic. We're proud of you. We celebrate you as our mover for today, Daniel Frimpong Asante, Danny Genius coconut water, the CEO, young man, SHS graduate, doing this to make some money, go back to school. It's a good time to enjoy this. There's a few benefits of you being here. Thank you so much for making the time, and congratulations to you.
I'm grateful.
We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Do stay. Welcome back to Business Focus. Now, let's go straight to the Bank of Ghana. And the governor indicated the decision by the Monetary Policy Committee to maintain the policy rate at 17%. Let's take a listen to him.
In assessing the balance of rates, the committee was of the view that although inflation had moved upwards in the recent readings, this came mainly from the effects of increases in administered prices of petroleum and transportation costs. The committee viewed that second-round effects from these relative price changes would not be significant enough to alter the inflation trajectory over the medium term. This would require continued fiscal consolidation together with tight monetary policy to keep inflation within the target band. Given the circumstances, especially with regards to the global outlook, the committee decided to maintain the monetary policy rate at 17%, while closely monitoring developments in the near term.
So that's the governor of the Bank of Ghana. And Winslow Sakifio is the head of capital markets at First Bank. He joins me in the studio. Thank you so much, Winslow, for your time. You were expecting this decision?
Yes.
Why?
Because the threat to inflation, they weren't that significant to warrant the rates being shorter. And I think even though there's a concern with inflation, it's currently at 10 and it might likely inch up a bit, but it's not that strong a fear to cause the Bank of Ghana to increase the policy rate. And you know, all the other factors are fairly stable. The only issue is with the currency, which I think will be sorted out going forward.
See, what does this mean for this argument of commercial banks not responding to the continuous reduction in the policy rate? And you heard the Importers and Exporters Association talk about it. Does it really make sense when it's not reflecting, you know, in that margin in the commercial banks?
Okay. You know, all things being equal, when the policy rate goes down, we expect interest rates on the market to also trend downwards. But for some time now, I think after 2012, 2013, that link wasn't that strong. So policy rate goes down, it doesn't really affect prevailing interest rates on the market. And we are in a regime where the banks are facing a lot of issues. There's non-performing loans, there's the risk of a lot of default, and they have to price that into their current loans. And that is why we are seeing a situation where the policy rate has been trending down for some time, but banks have not been able to beat their rates down.
How long is this going to continue, you think?
It depends on how the risk is resolved in the market. I mean, NPLs last 2 years, they were very, very high.
Absolutely.
For now, they've come down a bit. And if they go down further, then the banks would see a need to also beat down their rate. But they don't want to do it prematurely, and then risk of default will shoot up again. And it might really affect their profits going forward.
Great point. Now, let's look generally at the strength of the currency. Finance Minister says relatively stable. Does that reflect what's the interbank rate now? I mean, to a dollar and to a pound and to a euro now?
I think for the dollar, we are seeing a 4.6892. That's interbank. But it's a bit high when you come to the forex market. When you look at the pound, it's 6.1466, and then the euro is 5.49. Currently, it's the dollar that we are seeing a bit of volatility in there, and I think it's something that the market currently knows, and everybody is looking up to Bank of Ghana to do something, and we expect inflows to come in that will cushion the cedi a bit.
Mm-hmm. And this inflows is just a temporary measure, so we can't really rely on it that much.
Yes, it's actually a timing issue, and it will come in when the cedi is facing the highest pressure. So we'll see a little easing, but it's not something that can be sustained. We have to look at the fundamental problem, which is the fact that we import more than we export.
It's largely import driven.
Yes.
We eat what we consume.
Yes, but so far we haven't been able to.
I mean,
we have an appetite.
We eat what we produce instead, and not what we consume.
Yes.
Let's go into the commodities market now and find out. For gold, I know sometime last week you took a tumble. What's the situation now?
It's still going down because the dollar has strengthened, and we expect U.S. policymakers to hike their interest rate. So there's a shift from gold investments into the U.S. Treasury market.
I see. What about cocoa and oil, finally?
Cocoa hasn't seen very good trends. We expected production in U.S. to be very strong, but it came out very weak for the first quarter of 2018, and it looks like we'll likely have an oversupply of cocoa, so it's beating the price down. The same reason for crude. Libya ports have been opened, and it looks like we are likely going to see an oversupply, which is beating the price down, which is good for the Ghanaian consumer, because when the price is down, we expect for prices
obviously
to
not
go
good
down.
for government, because what that means is that you're not
the
making more
revenues
money.
will go down. Yeah,
But when prices of crude oil go down in the world market, does it really go down? Do we see
it doesn't go down that much
either?
because there are other components in the pricing.
Absolutely. So it's not good news entirely in itself.
Yes, entirely not, but in a way, we should rejoice.
Winslow, thank you so much
Thank you.
for your time. Winslow Sakifio is the head of capital market at First Bank. And my name is Alfred Akansi. On behalf of the rest of the team, I want to say thank you for staying with us. There's News 360 afterwards. Stay with us. Have a good evening.